Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Mark Timberlake, and I'm back with a brand new video. So today, guys, last time I did a college football analysis talk for the 2023 season on Ohio State. That video did better than I expected it to. Go check that one out, by the way, after this video, if you haven't. And I'm going to do something I'm kind of I'm going to ask you to subscribe. Because all the cool kids are doing it. They're all subscribing. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're able to rock on. But I'm going to do something I'm really not comfortable with. Go down below and drop a like or hit the bell button, you know? I mean, I don't like asking for likes and all, but you know, videos are, in my opinion, informative. If you're into college football, you probably like that stuff. So anyways, let's talk about Michigan. Because we did Ohio State, now let's talk about the rival. Let's talk about Michigan. So, as you guys know, we went through Michigan season last season. If you're a Michigan fan like me, last season was a win. They did great. Made it to the college football playoffs. Yes, they got pounded by Georgia, but the point is we beat Ohio State for the first time in 11 years. Ohio State won 8 straight games. 11 years since we had beat them. We finally beat them. It was great. And we won the Big Ten championship. But during the offseason, a couple bad things happened. Like I said in my last video of Ohio State, I didn't really emphasize it. Harbaugh tried to leave. Michigan lost some talent up front on defense. They definitely lost some talent offensively. But they definitely have some returning talent and some incoming talent. Then again, their recruiting class was not where it normally is. Normally, Michigan's in top 5 for recruiting class. This year, their recruiting class was 39. Because after Harbaugh tried to leave, they also lost both their coordinators. So, let's talk about, first off, Harbaugh trying to leave. Harbaugh trying to leave was a big problem for Michigan because they also lost both their coordinators. I mean, look at Mike Macdonald. He came down from the Ravens. He did wonders for Michigan's defense. Now, here's the deal. We could tell that the coaching definitely had something to do with it because their defense, even with Hutchinson and Ojabo, wasn't nearly anywhere up to par as much as it is now. So here's what you need to look at. The new leadership coming in, they got a defensive coordinator who was originally from Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt normally has fairly good sports programs for the spot where they're placed, and they normally have pretty good coaching too. So this defensive coordinator, I feel like, has some experience, but then again, he's new to Michigan. So what's he gonna have to? Is he gonna have to make some adjustments? How is the defense going to react to him? Now, let's talk about what the team originally said about Jim Harbaugh trying to leave. They said, we don't care, we're still the same Michigan team. He left, but he didn't, so I mean, we guess that's a good thing. So that's good. That shows the team didn't lose any confidence from that. They're saying we're still the same Michigan team we were in the beginning. We can do good. We have the potential. That's good. But you need to look at the fact that the coaches have some pressure on them now. New defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator. They lost both their coordinators. But let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the leaving talent that left. Hutchinson, Ojabo, possibly the 2 best pass rushers in the NCAA. They're gone. NFL. Congrats. Hutchinson went to the Lions. Woohoo. I probably would have liked to go somewhere else, but hey, you know, he didn't really have a choice. That's who he got drafted for. So, you know, they're gone. But coming back in, they still have Mike Morris Sr. They still have a lot of players who they are looking to hopefully repeat success for them and fill in for them. Now they have players who didn't exactly get the start next year, but coming back. Josh Ross, linebacker butts. Beautiful. He can play any position on defense. He can play some safety. He can play linebacker. He can play a lot. He was a great defender, and he's coming back. Mike Morris Sr. is coming back. There's a lot of people, and there's some people who are stepping up to get a start that they feel comfortable about. So Michigan's defense is still looking up to par. Now, let's take a look at the offense. The offense is what I really was wanting to take a look at, because everyone's saying they lost Hoskins. Where's their run game going to be? I'll tell you what, their run game is still going to be one of the best in the league. Blake Corum is said to be in the top 5 of all the running backs for the entire league, and he's a junior this year. He's a junior. Then Donovan Edwards is the one behind him, was a freshman last year, still got a fair amount of playing time for a freshman, and picked up some good yardage. He's going to be second this year. So Michigan's run game is still going to be good. Now let's look at their pass game. Ronnie Bell tore his ACL in the first game of the season last year for a season injury against Western Michigan. He was out for the rest of the season. He's back this year for his fifth-year senior after his injury. Ronnie Bell is a very good wide receiver. and we know he's got two quarterbacks, Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy are both competing for the starting spot. Last year, it worked out great for both of them. If Cade McNamara starts, that's even better because you got a quarterback behind him who can lob him in there. So I think Cade McNamara will most likely start. But even if he doesn't, you know that he's got two quarterbacks in the backfield, J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara, that can sling balls to him and get him to him even if he's in heavy coverage. So we're looking at Michigan. They look up to par on everything. The biggest main concern for Michigan right now should be adjustments they need to make coaching-wise. Now, like I said about Ohio State, do I think they have the potential to win the national championship? Not quite. Do I think they're going to have some problems in out-of-conference games? Texas Tech and Notre Dame could pose some threats. But, like I said, I use Hawaii as an example. I know Ohio State doesn't play Hawaii, but I use that as an example. Teams like that they're going to play, not a big deal. But when you want to look at other teams, like, for instance, teams that Michigan will play at conference, Colorado State, don't think that's a big deal. Now, you want to look at the biggest threats for Michigan. I think there's 3 games that pose the most threat. Now, you might say, oh, well, Penn State. What about Penn State? No, the reason why is Penn State has been a thorn in their side. I will admit that. Because Penn State is a good team, as I said in the last video for Ohio State. Just the only problem is, like I said, Penn State's a good team at home. When they're on the road, they struggle. They're not in Happy Valley this year. They're in Ann Arbor. So I don't think Penn State's going to pose much of a threat. You want to look at the 3 games that I think pose the biggest threat. Number 1 is Ohio State. Biggest rivalry in Columbus. Number 2, Michigan State. Because like I said, on rivalries, anything can happen. Second biggest rivalry, and possibly the second biggest rivalry in college football, is Michigan State. And even though it's in Michigan, you gotta look at it as it's a rivalry, and Michigan State, good or bad team this year, they're gonna bring all the intensity on that day, everything they have. Now the third game, Iowa, is in Iowa. Michigan is at Iowa. Now the reason that's a big threat is because I get it. Michigan smoked Iowa last year in the Big Ten Championship. Wasn't even close. Number one, it wasn't Iowa. Number 2, their coaches hadn't tried to leave, and they still had a phenomenal defensive coordinator. So let's talk about the teams that Michigan's going to play. Ohio State, rivalry, good defense, run games up to par. Keys to Michigan for beating Ohio State: get their run and pass game working. Shut down Ohio. They got to shut down Ohio State's run game on defensively. Offensively, they need to be able to get their run game and their pass game going, and they need to get into a rhythm early. Another thing on defense, they got to create some turnovers, and offensively they can't give turnovers because Ohio State will most likely capitalize off those almost every single time. Last game, Michigan didn't create a single turnover. I don't believe. They did not. But Ohio State caused a turnover, but they did not capitalize off of it because Michigan's defense was really at par because they hadn't lost their coordinator yet, is the way to look at it. I feel like coaching was a big factor in Michigan's defense. Let's look at Michigan State. It's in Michigan, so immediately Michigan gains a little bit of an advantage there, but not a huge advantage because in the end it's still just a field. Also, it's in Michigan, so it's not like Michigan State's going to be super tired from traveling in that game. Now, last year when they played, I will say Michigan State had a bye week before Michigan. I don't know how the seasons are stacking up this year. I don't know if one team's going to have a bye week before the game. That would obviously give the other team an advantage, but I don't believe that's happening this season. I don't know how they stack up. Don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. But let's look at what Michigan needs to do offensively and defensively. Number 1 thing they have to do defensively. Michigan State always has a good run game. Their pass game is not always up to par. They need to shut down their run game. Okay? Another thing they need to do is they need to look at Michigan State defensively. There were too many turnovers last year. They settled for too many field goals. When Michigan gets the ball, they need to capitalize with touchdowns, not field goals. And on top of that, they need to be able to make sure that they don't cause turnovers, because Michigan State will capitalize off turnovers. It's the offense they have. It's what they do. They live off turnovers, which is a perfect carryover into the next game, Iowa. Last year, Iowa led the Big Ten in turnovers. If you let Iowa's defense hang back, get in a rhythm, pressure your quarterback, they'll make turnovers happen. They will get turnovers. You cannot give those opportunities to Iowa because they will make them count. They will make turnovers happen. They have one of the most outstanding defenses in college football, and they'll make turnovers happen. They will. They'll create turnovers. They'll create fumbles, picks, pick sixes, scoop and scores. They'll create all that. Their defense is outstanding. I'm not going to say Michigan's defense isn't outstanding, but Iowa has a good offense too. Iowa can have a good run game, but they can have a good pass game too. The quarterbacks that Iowa have survival instincts. They know how to buy time. They know how to hang back there. They know how to keep their cool. Under pressure, they know what to do. They work on those situations. Their quarterbacks are maybe not as good as Michigan's, but they're pretty good quarterbacks. So, at Iowa, already gives them an upper hand at home. So, Michigan's keys to that are do not create turnovers. You need to pressure Iowa's quarterbacks, try and keep them out of their comfort zone. And you have got to, absolutely have got to keep your cool and stay in rhythm. If you lose it on Iowa, you're going to lose the game. You've got to keep your cool against Iowa. They are a team that will live off of somebody losing their head. If the quarterback loses their head or the offense loses their head, Iowa's going to create turnovers. So offensively and defensively, Michigan has to keep their focus because Iowa's got a good defense and a good offense. They need to figure out how to deal with the atmosphere that Iowa's going to throw at them. They need to keep the quarterbacks out of their comfort zone, and they need to run a couple plays that have a high percentage chance of succeeding. Like Michigan, the flea flicker. That worked for them last year, and I'm going to say it's probably going to work for them this year, although teams are probably going to be looking for it. When it comes to Michigan, they need to be able to look at this from a certain standpoint of what plays have the highest percentage chance of succeeding, how much time is it going to take up? Because one thing in football, don't get me wrong, if you have plays that succeed, that's good. But it depends on how quickly they succeed, because you still got time management in football. Now, I don't think time management is going to be a huge problem for Michigan. Every team goes over that 2-minute offense, that 4-minute offense, that 2 clock if they have to. The big thing against Iowa is offensively and defensively. Keep your head, stay in rhythm, try and keep Iowa out of their comfort zone. So, if Michigan can do those things, do I think they have the chance to repeat last season's success? Yes. Now let's talk about the college football playoffs. Like I said, those teams, the flea flicker that Michigan was running works every game. May do the same this coming season. Is it going to work in the top 4? Didn't work against Georgia. Don't know if it will work this time. So Michigan, another key for Michigan, this is overall just for season success. Come up with some more plays that you can run like the flea flicker that will work against teams like Georgia or Alabama or teams that you might face in the top 4. So Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, I don't know, plenty of teams out there that you can face in the top 4. Notre Dame, maybe, possibly. You need to look at plays that will work against outstanding defenses like that. So that's another thing Michigan needs to look at. Now in the top 4, do I think they have the potential to make the national championship? Like I said, Ohio State, I don't think they have the potential to win. Michigan, I'm not being biased. Not just saying this because I'm a Michigan fan. I think they have a chance to make the top 4. Do I think they have a chance to win the national championship? And this is the same for Ohio State. Ohio State and Michigan, chance to win the national championship. Slim. Slim to none. Slim. I think both those teams have the potential to do if they want to, but I don't think they have the best chance out of any team. So Michigan was ranked at above 50% to win the national championship. 55, 59%, something like that, I believe. Not bad, but then you got teams like Alabama and Georgia, 80 to 90%. They're in the 80th to 90th percentile. They're somewhere between 80 and 90%. That's really high. So, Michigan, I'd say the 59%, 59%, I'd say that's accurate. That sounds about accurate. Ohio State, 59% sounds about accurate. I'm saying their chances are not nearly as good as all the other teams. I'm saying Michigan or Ohio State could win, but their chances are not as high as the other teams. So let's look at the number one thing here. Do I think Michigan can repeat last season's success, make top 4? Yes. Do I think they can make the national championship and win it? Michigan, Ohio State, possibly, but I'm going to say if you're going to be concerned about a season for Michigan, it should be next season. Yes, they're going to lose Cade McNamara next season. Yes, they're going to lose Ronnie Bell, but they're still going to have a good run game. They're still going to have a good quarterback. J.J. McCarthy is going to be a junior at that time. He's going to be set. He's going to be looking really good. And Michigan can always bring in good quarterbacks. They've always had good quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, since Devin Gardner, I'd say Michigan hasn't really had a problem with quarterbacks since Devin Gardner. Which, I don't know. Some of you guys out there may not even remember him. His senior year was the year Michigan only won 5 games. Got pummeled by Ohio State. That was also that might have also been the year they almost lost to Akron. I can't remember. All I remember is that since Devin Gardner, Michigan hasn't had a real quarterback problem. So Michigan's looking okay in that respect. So that's what you look at. You look at Michigan, and you see they might have some success coming. I think they can repeat last season's success. Talked about the biggest threats, what they need to do in those set games. Talked about the coaching. That's about all I got for you guys. So, like I said, I did a video about this on Ohio State too, not just Michigan. So if you haven't checked that video out, go check it out. Now that you're done watching this one, hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell button so you get notified of all my new videos. Rock on.